This is the eve of the first Martin Luther King Jr. national holiday. Across the nation and here in Charlotte, celebrations to commemorate the day are set to get underway tomorrow. Perhaps nowhere will the event be more deeply felt than in the city that King called home, Atlanta, Georgia. Our Steve Crump is there, as are many other Charlotteans, and Steve joins us now live tonight via News Star 3 with details of some of the celebrations that will be coming up in Atlanta. Steve?
Good evening from Atlanta, Alan. Ebenezer Baptist Church was the focal point of the civil rights movement. This was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s church, and like the events of 20 years ago, history was made today with the visit of South African Bishop Desmond Tutu. It was a day for calling all nations to oppose South African apartheid. Black leaders Jesse Jackson, Andrew Young, Joseph Lowery, along with dignitaries from over 40 countries attended the day-long session. Coretta Scott King, president of the King Center for Nonviolent Change, said South African apartheid must be stopped.
We call on people of goodwill everywhere to join with us in supporting this noble struggle.
This is the 9th day of the King celebration in the Peach State, one day before the first national holiday. The keynote speaker for today's tribute was South African Bishop Desmond Tutu. And like King, he seeks changes in his country through nonviolent means.
3.5 million people have been removed from their original homes, and they have been dumped as if they were rubbish. It is impossible, utterly impossible, for anyone to be truly free until all of us are free. Help! 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 Thank you.
From here, Tutu took his pleas for help to Morehouse College. College campuses served as the battlegrounds of protest during the civil rights era of demonstrations. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. attended Morehouse College here in Atlanta. And though too young to remember his actions, students from Charlotte do feel that they've benefited from his works.
And I can see the changes. We have county commissioners, Bob Walton, we have a black mayor, Harvey Gantt, and these things would not have been possible without Dr. Martin Luther King.
While these students see changes through a nonviolent movement born in America's South, they feel a strong kinship to the cause in South Africa.
Winnie Mandela's daughter was here, and she was speaking about the matter. She said that we fought for our freedom, and we know what it's like, and that's why we should feel obligated to help them. And I feel very strongly about that as well.
Tonight, a candlelight service will be held for the freedom fighters of South Africa, and Alan will be back with a fresh report at 11, as well as interviews with others from Charlotte making it down to Atlanta for the national celebration.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Steve Crump reporting live via News Star 3 from Atlanta tonight. This is the eve of the first national holiday celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. The events in Atlanta today centered around oppressing apartheid in South Africa. Dignitaries from more than 40 countries gathered in Atlanta today to take part in the first national conference aimed at apartheid. Steve Crump has been covering the activities in Atlanta today. He joins us live now from Atlanta via News Star 3. Steve?
Good evening from Atlanta, Alan. The candlelight vigil here at King's Tomb ended just moments ago. People from all over the world have begun arriving here, and by the time the celebration begins tomorrow, 100,000 are expected in town. The eternal flame near the King tomb symbolizes the burning desire to keep his dream alive. During this service, people from all over the country, including the Carolinas, gathered to reflect upon the visions of one man and the turmoil of the 60s.
We had riots at home in '68 during that time, so I thought it was worth coming down here for.
So the riots in Greensboro from back in '68 motivated you?
Yes, the sit-ins in '60.
More than 500,000 people visit the King Center here in Atlanta, and it's become a civil rights museum. This year, visitors will see a new contribution from the Carolinas. This work of art is called Behold, and it's on display in the King Center. This bronze statue was inspired by the TV miniseries Roots and was done by Patrick Morelli. He attended Duke University in the 1960s and participated in campus demonstrations.
Anyone viewing this piece would feel that strength of inspiration and that respect for the memory of Dr. King.
Jesse Jackson also participated in 60s demonstrations in the Tar Heel State. He said King's movement 20 years ago makes a difference in the Queen City today.
In North Carolina, there was less brutality. In Alabama and Mississippi, which says a lot about civil lives and moral leadership in North Carolina that did not let it get out of hand. It is that same spirit that has Harvey Gantt as mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina now.
Among those from Charlotte coming to Atlanta include County Commissioner Bob Walton and Reverend James Palmer of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. We'll have their story on tomorrow on WBTV News at 6. Alan?
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Steve Crump reporting live from Atlanta via News Star 3.
We are ready to go back live to Atlanta to talk with Steve Crump, who has been at Martin Luther King observances all day in Atlanta.
Good morning, Lori. The celebration in Atlanta continues right now. A church service is going on at Ebenezer Baptist Church. It started around 10 o'clock this morning. Many paying tribute to King include government dignitaries and people from other countries fighting civil rights battles. The national holiday in Atlanta began with the laying of a wreath at the King tomb. Vice President George Bush and South African Bishop Desmond Tutu escorted the King family to the grave. Then they moved on to Ebenezer Baptist Church for the start of this morning's service. On hand are Senator Ted Kennedy, Baseball Commissioner Peter Uberoff, and boxing promoter Don King. Throughout the morning, security has been tight. Among the people from Charlotte attending this morning's services, Reverend James Palmer of the University Park Baptist Church. He is also head of the Charlotte branch of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
King gave so much and asked for so little. Today, the reality of King dream to come alive, opportunities are so great because of King having sacrificed.
Now, as you can see, a crowd has gathered around Ebenezer Baptist Church. Not everyone has been able to get inside for that service. A few folks from Charlotte are inside, and we'll have their story tonight on WBTV News at 6. Lori?
Okay, thank you, Steve. We'll look forward to that more tonight at 6.
I accept the Nobel Prize for Peace at a moment when 22 million Negroes of the United States are engaged in a creative battle to end the long night of racial injustice.
Americans celebrated the birthday of a man of peace today, a man who practiced the belief that nonviolent protest was the path to social change. Martin Luther King Jr. marched through the South to change a nation, and today the nation honored him with a federal holiday. Good evening. From California to Maine, Americans pause today to remember civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., but the focal point of the celebration was in Atlanta, where King preached the gospel of peaceful protest. Steve Crump joins us now live from Atlanta by News Star 3. Good evening, Steve.
A historic day in Atlanta today, Bob. I'm here at the tomb of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At this hour in the Peach State, a celebration continues. People honoring the legacy of a man who changed the course of history in modern America. Music and thousands of people filled the streets of Atlanta. It was the celebration of the first national legal holiday commemorating Martin Luther King's birthday. The day's events began with the laying of a wreath by the King family. His widow, Coretta Scott King, was escorted by Vice President George Bush and South African Bishop Desmond Tutu. From there, it was on to Ebenezer Baptist Church, where dignitaries, celebrities, and politicians gathered for a 2.5-hour tribute to the late civil rights leader. Bishop Tutu was awarded the Martin Luther King Nonviolent Peace Prize. Vice President Bush responded to Tutu's concerns over the segregated society in South Africa.
I call again for the end to apartheid.
Charlotteans attending today's service included Mecklenburg County Commissioner Bob Walton, who recalls King's visits to the Queen City.
And I had the personal opportunity to meet him and to talk with him. He was a very humble man, and certainly a man inspired by God to do the work that God had appointed him to do.
Other voices from Charlotte were heard in Ebenezer Baptist Church this morning. Paul Hendricks, a graduate of South Mecklenburg High School, now sings in the Morehouse College Choir, which provided music for the service.
We should accept the gift that Dr. King gave us during his lifetime, and throughout our lifetime try to give it back and instill the same legacy to be perpetuated in our friends and our families, so that it be continued, so that one day we actually can say that we have overcome.
There are celebrations going on all around America, including Charlotte. Rachel Bagley is standing by live at First Baptist Church with more on King Day. Rachel?